Welcome, Anatomy fans. Today we dissect Gary Marshall's third event-based movie called Mother's Day. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Mother's Day is approaching, and we have Marisa Serafini in studio today.
Hello, everyone. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at SeraphiniTV.
And I'm your host, Phil Svitek. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And before we get into our full dissection, we have a very special guest over Skype. We have Owen Vaccaro, who plays Charlie, the son of Kate Hudson in the movie. How are you, Owen?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. You're over in Atlanta, correct? That's your hometown. So let's, first, why don't we start with this? How did you get involved in this movie?
Well, it took auditions, but how I got started with acting is that my first grade teacher, she told me about this thing called MC Stageworks, and so we did MC Stageworks. I never thought I would like it, but I liked it, and so then we ended up trying film. So we did film. So I got an agent because I liked film.
Nice.
And so she sent me on an audition. Apparently they liked me, so I got a call back. And then there was a veil, and then I ended up booking it.
Very cool. And,
Congrats.
I got to congratulate you also. I saw you in Daddy's Home, and I thought you were great in that, and I thought that was a very funny movie. And then now you're part of this. What was the time span between the two in terms of filming? Was it a large gap, or did you kind of go from one to the other?
6 or 7 months.
Probably 6 or 7 months.
Got it. And in general, what was, because they're both comedies, but what did you notice, or were there any differences from one to the other in terms of what was required from you as an actor, whether emotionally or otherwise?
Well, they're both comedies, but what I think is kind of funny is that there's one about a dad, and then there's one about a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's like, are they setting me up or something, or...
Yeah, well, we know that the kids were very involved with this film, Mother's Day, and so was your character. So what was like one of your favorite scenes or one of your favorite moments of this film while filming?
My very favorite moment while filming was probably the scene with the llama and the water slide and stuff, because we got to do it over and over. So we got to just go down the water slide, go back up, wait for them to film, go down again. And my mom kept getting super scared because we were jumping down. So she thought we were going to accidentally jump over and just land in the grass.
That's funny. And was that just a one-day shoot, or was it kind of a multiple-day shoot just because of everything involved and you got to do it even longer than you had hoped for, perhaps?
I don't remember, but I think it was 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, because that was a very involved scene, and it came out great.
It looked really fun, and speaking of fun, you worked with a well-renowned actor, Gary Marshall. What was it like working with him, and what was the atmosphere on the set like?
He's super nice. And he actually had his grandson. He was on the water slide scene too, so I got to meet him.
Oh wow!
Fun.
What did he, in terms of your interactions with him, what did he kind of give you in terms of direction or share with you in terms of advice, for your character of Charlie?
Well, I always hear this when I'm going on auditions, that I have to be louder. I tend to just stay quiet. I don't know why. And it's pretty much the direction that I get. That's my main direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I always seem to be quiet on auditions. I don't see why.
Well, you're pretty loud to us right now, so that's great. And in terms of the storylines, like, do you for when you kind of prepare for your role in the movies, do you like to read the entire script and kind of know everything that's going on? Do you focus on just your own character? Has it changed from one movie to the other? Since you are so young, are you trying out various approaches?
Well, there's actually this thing called a table read, and you go through the whole entire script with everybody there. I had one for Daddy's Home. I remember that. That's the first time I met Scarlett, and not everybody really pays attention to this, but the action, pretty much what makes up the whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you got to read everything if you want to get the full effect.
That's,
Got
That's fun. And Gary Marshall, the director, has done a lot of films in the past. Have you seen any of his films before
Not
going?
really. I've only seen Mother's Day, and I also heard that he's always doing like holidays into movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's Mother's Day.
So you haven't seen New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day yet?
No, they're PG-13.
Got it.
Got it.
Well, fair enough. What types of movies do you watch?
Well, I'm really into a book that is a movie. I really like Harry Potter right now. I think it's just the coolest thing there is. I'm on book 5. It's called The Order of the Phoenix, and it's super good.
Yes.
Very cool.
Amazing books.
It ends. I won't spoil it for you, but it's a great it's a great series. It's absolutely fantastic, and so with this movie, right, as you pointed out, it's funny in a way because the first one's about fathers, the second one's about mothers, but both are also comedies. Is comedy sort of what you enjoy doing, or do you also want to get into drama in the future as well?
I do want to get into drama in the future, but if I had a chance, I'd probably stick with comedy. I just like having the challenge of not to laugh on set.
Was that extremely hard on both movies, and even this one?
On Daddy's Home, on Mother's Day, it didn't get it as much. But on Daddy's Home, it was hard all the time.
Got it. Do you what made it for the second one? Do you think you kind of just got the hang of it from the first one, where you knew, okay, if the cameras are rolling, I shouldn't laugh, so I'll just not laugh?
Pretty much, yeah.
A little bit of code word.
Oh, and also on Daddy's Home, if we would ever get a little bit out of control, there would be this code word, and we would have to say it, or the director would say it, and then we would go back to serious stuff, and the code word was cow banana.
Cow banana?
Cow banana with a G.
Calganana.
Okay.
That's fun. So when the cameras aren't rolling and whatnot during filming, what did you hang out with the other kids, or did you spend time with them and do some fun things behind the scenes?
Well, I would play with Scarlett a ton. We'd actually play a game called Crossy Road on our mom's phones. We'd go to craft services. That's always super fun. Hang out on set, play with Mark, play with Will, play with everybody, and goof off, basically.
Got it. And what was, I mean, to be able to, across these two movies, work with the actors that you've gotten to work with, I mean, they're phenomenal actors. Have you, has there been advice that any one of them shared with you that you took to heart?
I don't know. I might think a little while.
Okay. Well, if you think of it, just at any point, just shout it out, even if it's spur of the moment.
Right. I mean, you've worked with really great actors now, but are there any other actors or directors that you would love to collaborate in the future?
Yes. What's his name? Oh yeah, Chris Pratt. He was in Jurassic World and he played somebody named Owen, which if you see.
There you go.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Is that one of your favorite movies now, Jurassic World?
It's definitely up there. I played a game called Jurassic World with my dad.
Or Jungle Book.
And I really like Jungle Book too. I really want to work with a director again. His name is Dave Van Gogh and he's super nice.
Oh,
Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. And were you there for the entirety of the filming of the movie, or how long was your portion of Mother's Day?
Probably a month, including weekends.
Got it. That's a significant amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, and that was, I imagine, quite a while ago. And do you still keep in contact with any of them from the movie?
Dave Van Gogh.
And Brandon.
And Brandon, we always see him on the audition sometimes. But Dave Van Gogh, we're always FaceTiming. In fact, he just got out of Africa. What?
Dave is the assistant director.
Yeah, Dave is the assistant director, and he was just in Africa. He was the assistant. He was filming Jungle Book.
Got it. And is that mom helping you out behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Anything in particular that you're doing for your mother on Mother's Day?
I don't want to say it because she's right there.
Got it. So it's a surprise.
I don't know if you would exit the room, I'd say it.
Okay, I'll close my ears.
I want to get her one of those things that the Uber drivers have with the little phone case, and you like put it up and you put your phone in, because she used this app called Waze.
Got it.
Ah,
So you're helping. So it's a pragmatic gift. I like that.
very helpful.
You're thinking. I like it. That's a great gift. We won't spoil it. We promise. No.
So I give her a perfume.
What's that?
Oh, yes. Always a great gift for a mother.
Very cool. Now, April's kind of come and gone, but nonetheless, April was a big month for you, where it was Child Abuse Prevention Month, and you kind of were involved with that through a campaign called We Stand Together.
Yes.
And so, can you give us a little bit more info on the campaign itself, and then, kind of your experience and the sort of, I guess, result of all of it,
So basically, so if you have the app Musically, you make a Musically to the song We Stand Together. I actually have Musically.
Stand by you.
Stand By You. I get those mixed up. You do the song Stand By You, and you use the hashtag We Stand Together. There we go. And we actually got up to about 150,000 videos, which is super amazing. We were aiming for we thought 10,000 would just be amazing. But somehow we made it to 150,000, and that was super cool.
Wow.
Oh, congratulations. And I think that's such a great thing that you're standing up for, especially for someone as your age. That's such an important topic that everyone should know, not just, child and children itself, but that's such a worldly topic that I think more people should be well aware of.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. And is this something that that you're going to continue year to year as well?
I really wanted to continue this. I think it's been a great thing for me, because we actually tried out lacrosse, baseball. We tried out, you name it. We tried it out.
I think they're talking about the video. Are you going to do the video again April next year?
Oh, April next year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Great. Yeah, I think that, I mean, just the positive reaction that you've gotten, I think it, I think it would be great to do it again, especially, 150,000, that's tremendous. Congratulations on that. I think it can only grow from here. I mean, that's already a fantastic start.
Yeah. So do you have any upcoming projects in the future that you can talk about, or anything for us audience to look forward to?
Yes, I'm super excited. In January 2017, they're making a Daddy's Home 2.
Ah, there you go.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah, honestly, I fell in love with that movie. And I think it's great. Is there anything you can kind of tease, perhaps? Because I know that at the end of the movie, there was that big cliffhanger of another dad sort of stepping in. Will we see that dynamic, perhaps?
We don't know, but my friends actually, with the John Cena arriving, I didn't know they were going to make a sequel. Actually, my friends told me that.
Got it. So you found it out through them.
Yeah.
Very cool. It was told to us that one of your hopes is to play Bruce in a theater production of Matilda. Where did that? Is that true? Number one, and number two, where did that kind of come about, if it is?
Well, yes, I really do want to be on Broadway one day. And Matilda is one of my favorite musicals. And actually, I always play with this person at school named Ava Hallworth. She got me into Matilda. She's super nice. She really wants to be Matilda on Broadway. So our goal is to be on Broadway together. I'm going to be Bruce and she's going to be Matilda. And it's going to be super fun. You know what's going to happen.
That's great.
Very cool. Excellent. All right. Well, anything about the movie that you want to kind of highlight for people that haven't seen it?
Well, what?
It's a great movie to go see on Mother's Day this weekend.
It's a great movie to go see on Mother's Day.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
I agree with that. All right. Well, Owen, we appreciate your time. And I think this was great. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in more things. And I personally am very excited to see Daddy's Home too. I think, again, the first one just came out of nowhere for me in terms of how great it was. And so I'm excited that they're doing a sequel. Kind of where can people keep up with you? Do you have a social media? Do you have a website?
Yes. On Twitter, it is, what is it?
At Owen Vaccaro.
At Owen Vaccaro, and on Facebook, it is
Owen Wilder Vaccaro.
Owen Wilder Vaccaro, and on Instagram, it is
At Owen Vaccaro.
at Owen Vaccaro, and on Musically, it is
Owen_Vaccaro.
Owen_Vaccaro.
Amazing.
There you go.
And Vaccaro with 2 R's, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Vaccaro. There.
Two
There.
C's.
2 C's.
2 C's.
2 C's.
Okay,
Got it.
there we go.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, and congrats on the movie. Look forward to more from you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Owen.
All right. What a fantastic,
Oh, he was fun.
what a fantastic, amazing guy. All right. So let's, as we always do with Anatomy, let's take a step back and let's give our overall reactions to the movie, and then we'll get into the story, the development, the production,
Yeah.
and of course we'll wrap out at the reception. So Marissa, for you, the third Gary Marshall event-based movie, Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. What was it?
Well, I was very excited to see this film. Seeing the trailer and just seeing the star power that is, Jennifer Aniston, Kate Hudson, and Julia Roberts. I'm just like, so you already have like a really great star cast there, and then knowing Gary Marshall was the director of it, I was just genuinely excited from the other films that he's done, and it looked like a fun film where everyone's intertwined, and I already called out. I think everyone knew, but like I was like, oh yeah, of course the girl's gonna be the daughter of Julia Roberts' character. So I was like, we already knew how it was gonna end, but I was excited to watch it, and I went into this film with high expectations, and I laughed a lot. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed it. It was a fun movie.
I'm not as familiar with Gary Marshall. I've certainly not seen New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day, but what I can appreciate about this movie is the fact of he has a real good sense of time, right? Obviously, Mother's Day is the event that we're leading up to, and so the build-up to get there, time-wise and tension-wise, is really well developed, really well paced. And I also think that, yes, there's a cheesiness to it all, but if you kind of accept it, it can be very endearing and fun, right? So I think that's what you kind of ultimately have to go into it with, because yes, some of the dialogue very much on the nose and this and that, mm-hmm. and various things. So, but again, if you kind of just accept it in that regard, you can have a really fun time.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got to realize this is a very light-hearted movie. It's not going to be over-the-top dramatic or like win any Oscars in that way, but it's a fun movie, and it's there for I'm sure the main demographic is going to be like the females going to watch this. It's about having a good time with your friends. So yeah, it was. I mean, you gotta. You mentioned cheesiness. I'm all about the cheese. Hello, I watch Hallmark every single day. So like this movie's so up my alley that's probably why I enjoy this film more than other people would.
Well, I mean, the fact that this is the third one. It's not necessarily like a franchise. It's not necessarily like a sequel. It's not a trilogy by any means. But it's in that same vein, right? Mm-hmm. And it was announced in April of 2013 that this was in development, and here we are today with it out. Overall budget for the entire thing, $25 million. So for a star-studded cast like that, and everything that went into it, very conservative.
Yeah, I was like, that's fairly low. But that's again, this was a simple movie. So
I think it's that, and I think Gary Marshall at this point is such a living legend that there's just a novelty, even if you are, we'll talk about everyone, but there's people who've worked on multiple movies with him, and then there's some that are newcomers, obviously like an Owen. Others are like, even within the case of Shay Mitchell, she's making her on-screen feature debut. So there's novelty to having to and getting to work with Gary Marshall.
Yeah, and I think because of his, accolades and just how many people he's worked with. I mean, he's worked with people who are obviously veteran actors, with people who aren't and who are like brand new to the screen. So I think that just goes to show his directing range of like his power in itself, that he just scopes like everybody, like from all different ranges of talent.
Yeah, and you know what? The most interesting thing to me, so there's 4 writers are credited in this entire piece. And if you kind of look at their resumes, most of them are, number one, actors that have, this is probably like their second, third project. Most of them only have worked, like this is their only writing credit. Now, I'm sure perhaps they've done writing on the side before, but in terms of IMDb listed credit, this is it. Which, like, for example, Matthew Walker, he's one of the 4. Known for, he has acted in Valentine's Day, Halloween 5. His first writing credit is this movie, which is incredible to me.
I mean, but that's great too, because it shows that Gary Marshall likes working with people that he's already worked with before. And if you watch a lot of his films, you'll see recurring actors. Oh, I mean, we'll get to it, but like Hector Elizondo, I mean, he's in basically every Gary Marshall movie.
But acting is different than writing.
Acting is different, but
you know what I mean? And so that to me is, I don't know, bizarre is not the right word for it, but the fact that they were able to pull this off, not saying that actors can't write, but again, it's a different skill set to it. You know what I mean? Like you develop for both.
Yeah, but I think it's great that Gary Marshall like creates those opportunities for people who have only done acting, but allows them to be writers as well.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, again, it kind of depends on how you all look at it. The fact that there are 4 writers and they're primarily come from the acting world, they can bring their acting perspective into it, and kind of reverse engineer it. So again, it can be a hindrance or it could be, a strength. In this case, I thought overall they did a good job, they played it as a strength. I thought Tom Hines in particular, the fact that he's been in The Princess Bride, Runaway Bride, as an actor, he can bring those experiences, funnel them, and put it on the page.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's just great to have, so many different collaborative minds on this film that deals with a lot of different people that are intertwined in the film.
Absolutely. There's a lot of intertwining. So let's kind of talk. Let's spend some time on the story, right? Obviously, there's the whole Indian racism, gender, gay relationship with Kate Hudson, and that whole,
and her sister,
and the element of cheesiness where sister and sister live next door to each other.
I like this though because it just shows like even their family's crazily intertwined in that way. We're gonna say intertwined a lot because all of them do. I like this because it shows that you have these 2 fun sisters and the crazy world that they're in with their kids. So this film had like different generations of motherhood or just parenthood in general. But I liked how those 2 played off of each other, and I think it was really fun to watch, seeing like the sisters' family, vice versa, and like compared to what was her name?
Which character?
Kate Hudson's character.
Jesse.
Jesse's character. Thank you. Compared to Jesse's family, so those two completely different families, right next to each other, and how they clashed.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and again, their kind of tie-in also was the Mother's Day parade with the float, and
that float. It was hysterical. Like, how would they let anyone with that a living, like a womb, on a float in a street?
I don't know if it was approved by the party planning committee.
Probably not.
But what are you gonna say?
But it was funny to watch, especially because there was that one moment payoff when the kid comes out of it, and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Like,
And in
yeah.
fact, that was, I believe that was Owen, correct?
Yes, I actually want to say that. It's like my second child through the womb.
So that was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, you know, in this storyline in particular, I like the weight of it, in the sense of it's a deep issue of a very, you know, where you have, you know, where the mother and the father, they clash, right? And so it's like, okay, how do we deal with that, right? And introducing the element of, I think racism is too harsh of a word, so I don't want to keep using it. I'll try to think of an easier one, but
I think it's culture clash more so.
very much so. You know, I mean, to the fact that it has debilitated Jesse's relationship, where she has never told her husband about her parents, it obviously is a very significant thing.
Right. I think this, you know, this particular story, there was two different ways of reconnecting with the family. We had Jessie reconnecting with her parents, who she was pretty much very estranged from. And then, so we had that reconnection. And then now because they were reconnected, now let's actually introduce them to the second family. So it was more so just like bringing relationships of different sorts together.
And I thought, you know, you could go at it one of two ways. They just completely, as soon as the parents are in, within 2 minutes, boom, everything's on the table, which I thought was a very bold move, because oftentimes the other way that it's done is you try to tippy-toe around all of it, and like everyone's kind of participating and doing their part, moving pictures out of there and this and that. And the fact that they didn't go for that and they just went right for the bomb. The dad comes back, he's like, what did I miss?
Right. And it was funny to see that all unfold, because we see the two mothers bonding via Skype, like, and they were already pretty much like best friends just via Skype. And I was like, if you had actually told the truth from the beginning, you know, you guys could have been like, you guys could have had a happier family sooner. And because it's like you kept everyone away from each other because you
For years.
For
so much so
years.
that they moved so far away.
I know, and I think that was kind of like a problem, because you saw how well they actually did get together and like accept each other, and kind of showed somewhat of a loving family already, that they were so willing and accept agreements with each other. It's like you kept that apart. Had you told the truth from the beginning, we could have just been happier.
Well, the interesting part too is Margot Martindale's character Flo, and the husband, I forget his name. The fact that they're still, because the two daughters become, in a way, once the parents enter, petty, and it's ultimately Flo and her husband that teach them a lesson, albeit a very ridiculous. Let's drive this. Let's drive this at like like a runaway train, and scare him half to death, but a lesson nonetheless. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of brings it back full circle, where like, oh, you're right, I was acting childish.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it got the point across in a funny way. I agree. It was fun to watch, because you never know when a Winnebago goes awry. That can be scary. But I think it was just like how it all went down, how fast it went, because we had the husband in a pink robe, and it was just like, it was ridiculousness, literally stuck in a van going downhill.
Yeah, and then the float followed it.
Yes.
So we had that storyline, which let's kind of go to the Julia Roberts and the daughter
Britt
story.
Robertson.
Yeah, let's go to that storyline, because obviously we kind of get introduced to that when Kate Hudson and the daughter are sharing a moment about weddings and parenthood. That kind of spurs the moment of like, hey, go find your mother, and there she goes. And I love the fact that everyone in this entire movie, all they watch is HSN. I
know, and I think that was like the common thread between all of them.
It's the female equivalent of ESPN, Sports Center.
Or I saw it more as just the female equivalent of QVS, because that's basically what it was. It was QVS, which was funny. Side note, outside of our studios, literally on the TV, QVS is queued up.
QVC?
Or QVC, that's it. QVC is queued up on the TV, and they're literally selling pendants for Mother's Day. I'm like, yeah, it's a thing.
Well, so is technically HSN is its own network, by the way.
Yes. But I did like that theme that tied, Juliet was like tied to all of them. Juliet. But Sandy, no, not Sandy. Oh my goodness, these names. Miranda was the main person.
Miranda.
I like this actually because we see such a career-driven woman, and like we see she's very successful, but is she happy? And it's not necessarily it's like you have to have a family to be happy. That's not the case at all. But we see her character, she seems lonely, and in a way it's like, yeah, you can tell that something's missing in her life.
Yeah, and that's obviously evident when she pretty much hires Sandy. It's like, yeah, about your thing. No, that's okay. Tell me about your kids. How's your kids? Sandy with 2 sons. So we definitely got with that. The interesting part to me, out of all of them, I thought Julia Roberts actually came off as the weakest in the ensemble. And maybe it was just because of her character. I can't 100% tell, but because the rest, I don't know. She was a lot less animated than everybody else. And again, it's a character thing, so maybe I just didn't like the character as much. But I did, once she opened up with the daughter, that's when, okay, now there's an aura here. I can get behind this.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was the purpose of the character. They established her as a very stoic, kind of icy kind of character who everyone loves via her personality on TV, but in real life, she's not really the nicest person. But it made sense with the story that she did give up a child to have a more of a career than a family life.
Well, to be fair, she didn't give up the child to have a career. She was just not, she wasn't given an option. And then when out of that, okay, it was like, okay, well, I can be mopey about it, or, like just turn into something,
do something.
I think at that point she felt it would have been disrespectful, or whatever the word may be, dishonorable to have another child. So it was like, okay, well, let me just switch gears, and focus on me, and that, and obviously, it worked out in the end, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But, I mean, at the beginning she started cold, but then she softened and warmed up at the end, and that's what I liked about her character. In a way, she had a mini character arc, because we do see,
She had a huge character arc.
Yeah.
Obviously it's coincidental that the daughter came into it, but nonetheless she.
Yeah, and her character had her moments where, when she did say, it's like, oh hey, like I knew it was you the moment I saw you because I've technically been following you my whole life. So we see her character has always wanted to be a mother that she couldn't be. Yeah. So like I felt that was a very real moment, and realistic moment for her character.
Absolutely. And obviously that plays very nicely into the storyline between the daughter and her boyfriend, the comedian.
I liked him.
Which, it's always tough with comedy, because if it doesn't, like, you can add all the laugh tracks in the world that you want, but if it doesn't play 100, I don't know. It's always hard for me to judge stand-up in a movie, whether or not it's actually funny.
Right. I thought his jokes were more funny than the
funny
than
girl.
the other girl who everyone was apparently dying. I was like, no, that wasn't even funny. But I think it was more so just to play with the audience, like, hey, this guy's actually more funny. I did like this because, she was already a mother fighting and wondering if they should get married and whatnot. But I feel that's a very realistic topic too, that it's always recurring in real life too, because I know a lot of people who have kids but aren't married, and they always toy with the notion if they should get married or not.
Well, then perhaps the stereotypical thing is that it's the wife or the girlfriend wants to get married but the husband doesn't, And it was interesting where he wanted to get married, but she's got reservations about it. And the good part is it's not because she doesn't love him, not because of anything else, but there's just that void in her life where, she doesn't know her mother.
Yeah. And I think it was just that moment of like, what makes her happy, or what is she missing in her life? But in a way, she got both. So even she had a happy ending.
It all works out.
It did.
Absolutely. And, it worked out. I do like the aspect when you can kind of turn, your sort of negatives and your faults into positives, right? So, when Jennifer Aniston, like, she destroys her little model, and then, like, all of a sudden she, oh, this is the best day of my life. And for the comedian, obviously it's, oh, shoot, I got to go up on stage, but I got my daughter. Well, let me just work with that.
Let's roll with it.
So I always like those kind of aspects of, because it just shows, like, you can ultimately be positive in any situation. It's just how you spin it. You know?
Agreed.
Because it could have, had it been any other movie, it would just been one of those typical scenes like, oh, this is just a disastrous moment where, okay, the kid won't stop crying, and hey guys, you want to hear a joke? I'm trying to think of any joke. Oh, stop crying. Like, it would have just bombed, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, that sort of tangentially takes us to where is it? Well, we get into the Sandy storyline because she's intertwined with, obviously, Miranda. She's going out for that
Sandy
job.
with 2 sons.
That's right, Sandy, 2 sons.
Sandy, 2 sons. I love Jennifer Aniston. She's amazing in everything that she does. Again, we'll go into like actors and whatnot. This felt like a very Jennifer Aniston role. Like, Jennifer Aniston does a lot of romantic comedies and like roles like this that are fun and flirty every once in a while, and a woman who's down on her luck, but in the end comes out, winning and smelling like roses. But it didn't.
Not from the movies that I have, like, from We're the Millers and Horrible Bosses. That is not her MO in those.
No, not in even in Cake. But granted, she's done a lot of roles that are very similar to this, and so this is definitely in her wheelhouse.
Yeah, one of the more interesting parts was, we'll talk about Tina and that dynamic, but it's one of those things, like, they had to. I know they downplayed Jennifer Aniston's beauty because that became.
You think so?
I know so.
Okay. What, they always had her in workout clothes and whatnot?
No, I mean, that's part of it. But again, if you look at Horrible Bosses or We're the Millers or anything, like Jennifer, it's known that Jennifer looks amazing, right? Mm-hmm. But they very much wanted to go, again, in comparison to Tina. Here's the new thing. And here's Sandy kind of going over the hill, and again, the 2 sons have worn her out and this and that. So yeah, I very much think it was purposeful to make her look a little bit more plain than what Jennifer Aniston could look like.
Yeah, and I think it's also they kind of made her more of a realistic mother.
Yeah.
And not that like mothers can't be gorgeous as well, but it's just like she seemed like a real mother who was going through real life situations. So I was like, oh, is she fighting or like having issues with an ex-husband and trying to drop off the kids at a certain time, So like the situations that her character was going through were very realistic.
Yeah, and I thought, I don't know the full details, but Jennifer Aniston herself, she became estranged from the mother, who apparently made unflattering statements about her in a tabloid. As a result, she refused to invite the mother to her wedding at the time.
Like her mother.
So
that's sad.
Very sad. But I wanted to kind of bring that up, not to be a downer in any ways, but just you can only imagine the relationships that people have with this movie, and that's why, like, it is great to sort of base these movies on, and especially like an event like Mother's Day, right? where everyone has a mother, and as we talked about with Miranda's daughter, she doesn't know who it is, and so the different types of relationships people can have with this holiday, and the meaning that brings out of it. So I thought it was fascinating to know that about Jennifer, and then the way she portrays it in the movie as a strong mother.
A strong mother. I think that that's admirable as well, because sometimes acting, you have to, in a way, I feel like some actors might make up better performances when they come from like real pain in their lives. So like not having a mother figure might have made her a better mother on camera.
Yeah, one of the mothers we didn't quite get to see that much of is Jennifer Garner.
Yes.
Who loves karaoke.
That was cute. I was like, oh, hello, Jennifer Garner. What are you doing here? But if you got to remember, Jennifer Garner has also appeared in Gary Marshall films as well. So it kind of did make sense that she would make a cameo.
Absolutely. It tied her in well, and I thought it was used really well as a device. That just he's rewatching Jason's character is just rewatching this entire thing, and it's just so painful to him. And it introduces
he can't move on.
You can't move on, and obviously it introduces the big thing of the karaoke aspect, which plays such a tremendous part in that entire storyline. But yeah, I mean, what did you think of that storyline of what was his name? What was Jason's? Bradley and two daughters. Not quite doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Sandy Two Sons.
And I mean, we know Jason and Jennifer have worked together.
Horrible bosses. They were fantastic.
Yeah. So it's like, and I liked how they showed them on camera, because I was like, oh yeah, these two have to get together because the chemistry is already there. And it makes sense that she's the single mom with two sons and he's the single dad with two daughters. Like, that's done.
I appreciated the fact that, because any other movie would sort of have the meet cute a little bit earlier, and then like by the end of the movie they would already be dating or something, you know what I mean, or like we'd have a wedding. And I like the fact that no, we don't need that aspect of it. Like, they became friends. You can interpret in your mind what will eventually happen. Like, they're eventually going to end up together. And that's enough. We don't need to, the wedding.
We don't need to see everything. We just need to see them get together at the end and know that they have a happy ending.
I think Henry was a little jealous at that point in time.
He might have been. But I did like the fact, I mean, yes, this is a female-heavy cast, but we did have that one man who had to play the mother role. And because, again, that's also... I think that touches upon, the demographic of those who don't have mothers on Mother's Day, and like what happens with them and on a special day when someone's not there. And I liked how they brought that perspective to this film.
Yeah, and I thought it was very real, and the daughters did a fantastic job, because ultimately he's the one who can't move on, where everyone else, like he almost feels that it's an insult to celebrate the holiday, where everyone around him, I appreciated, was the fact of like, no, it's okay. Like, you're honoring her. You're not dishonoring her. And obviously he has that great character arc at the end. Yeah, it's all about these great parties. He threw a great party because he changed, whereas Sandy, she threw a great party out of just, what am I doing?
Jealousy.
Yeah.
Trying to get the kids have more fun with her than Tina. I like that, because I think sometimes parents do go over the top just for the approval of their kids.
Yeah.
Fun to watch, though, but the Humpty Dance. Oh, man, bringing that back.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can see, the whole him coaching soccer and snapping very easily. That was good, It was done very respectfully, because at no point, as he told the three ladies that were trying to help him get a girl, he's like, I'm not ready to move on, but if I am, I'll let you know. And so in the case of Sandy, and Bradley, it progressed in a natural way. It wasn't forced, and so he appreciated that obviously as a character, but then as an audience member, like, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah, I did like his friends though, who was always trying to set him up because they seemed like just good, strong female women to help him along the way that he needed.
They were hysterical.
Yeah, they were hilarious. Like, oh boy, you better get out of here. Someone's about to get hurt.
Amazing. I thought slightly ridiculous at the end when he falls over the railing, because you knew that they had to all collectively get together at the hospital. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what better way than to have some freak karaoke accident?
Funny to watch, and of course you had the whole payoff with the mic drop at the end. But I think that they teased that in the trailer too, and I laughed the first time I saw it, but I laughed even more watching the whole scene, how it went down. It was really funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just hysterical. And the only thing I will say that was slightly unrealistic was also the vending machine.
Yeah,
because vending machines aren't made.
They don't do that anymore.
They have, when you open the flap,
it's a double-sided
it's
flap.
A triangle, so you can't put your hand through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a glorious day for the vending machine owner when that was invented.
They're like, oh man. I think it was funny because there was also just that one line when she was stuck. They're like, oh, you got to be careful with it because it's a Miranda. It's a Miranda bracelet. And I'm like, oh yeah, so there's still that tie there to Miranda. Funny to watch. But and also it shows that yes, Bradley was kind of clumsy at some moments, but so is Sandy.
Yes, she is indeed, absolutely. And a man should never have to buy tampons for a woman. Just saying.
But it takes a real man to actually buy tampons for a woman.
I thought that was a funny scene of just how is that the same?
Right.
I guess it's not.
It's not, you guys. It's not. I did like the line. It's like, I'm just going to write T. I know what that means.
Can we hold off on those for a bit? No. All right. Well, I'll know what that means.
All right. And I think that's like, they took this one. It's like, I don't know. It's like men hate tampons. But the fact that they kept digging at this joke over and over again, because even in the Sprouts store, when the lady was saying it over the PA, you don't do that. And I've worked in grocery stores. There isn't like an actual etiquette to phone calling via PA. It's like you don't talk about stuff like that when it's like, I need a price check on this. No, you don't.
Well,
so I found that unrealistic, but yeah, funny.
Well, definitely was put in there for the sense of humor. All right, so we're moving tangentially through everybody. Let's talk about Henry, who's married to Tatina.
Tatina.
Can we stop saying Tatina?
I you know what? Good on Shay Mitchell for being in this film, because I only know her from Pretty Little Liars. I think it was very smart that they built up the audience that, like, okay, because she's the young one and the hot side piece more so, is that we, the audience, are probably conditioned to already hate this character because she's the other woman. But watching her, I was like, I can't really dislike her. And that was like a nice surprising twist for me, just as an audience member. It's like we wanted to hate her, but we can't.
Yeah, she did. I like where they kind of came together at the end of, just takes years, and she wanted to do well. I mean, I think the ultimate loser is Henry, because I don't know. I feel like number one, by the end, he was like, wait, I kind of want you back. And I don't know. Tina's getting to a place of like, maybe this guy's lame. Because what the hell's Henry done this entire movie?
Nothing. He's just the dad. I didn't see it in that way, because I saw it was more so just the whole story of two mothers probably gonna have a conflict between this, but bonding over sons. So the conflict of.
But again, I would say it was more so pushed on by the dad. I don't know. it's interesting because again, I don't necessarily want. I like that they didn't make her out to be the single villain, as you pointed out. I honestly do think it was more of Henry. He's like, oh, let's go to Paris, let's do this. And...
Yeah, and it was like he was very impulsive, making all of these decisions without, Sandy's consent. It was like, no, you shouldn't. In a way, he was more, I don't want to say the villain, but he was the more dislikable one in certain situations.
Yeah. Because especially when she tells him, like, you don't take him to the dentist, you don't do any of this stuff. And
yeah.
It's easy to,
I do.
It's easy to be the fun parent, like, yeah, of course. But then when push comes to shove, when a kid has an asthma attack, what you gonna do? Mm-hmm. So. And
I like that, and that's real too, because you're forced to make parental choices in life-threatening situations when it comes to children. And I like that because that was character growth on Tina's part, because it showed a real moment like, oh, I was so afraid, I didn't know what to do, and that was probably one of the things, like, that was a real scare from a mother's perspective.
Absolutely, 100%. So I thought, for her first feature debut, I thought she did a good job, and I like her stepping out. I've never seen Pretty Liars, but I like her kind of stepping out of that space.
Good for her.
Yeah, and Timothy Olyphant, I love this guy. I've watched Justified, and I like that inside joke when the the slide starts to kind of fall apart because there's no air in it. Of like, yeah, Justified.
Justified.
From Jennifer Aniston. I thought that was hysterical. Nice little inside joke. To me, I really like this guy. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, I think, all of them are really, really great, strong actors individually. And I think it's always fun to have all these characters, interact with each other in different ways.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else story-wise? I know we can talk, ad nauseum about there's so much to dissect, but overall, I think we covered the bulk of the stories.
Yeah, how they all pretty much intertwine in a smart way, because we had Miranda, who connected basically all of them, and then like mutual friends of Kate Hudson that connected Jennifer Aniston's character to Brett Robinson, and like that just like got everybody else.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Gary Marshall. This guy.
Wow.
Well, the way Julia Roberts describes him, I feel so safe with him, and I know he knows better than anyone on the planet Earth what's funny.
Yeah, and Julia Roberts says this is their fourth collaboration together. So obviously they're very well established in their working relationship there. I think that's great because, I watched a bunch of interviews of Gary's, and everyone said that he is like one of the most happiest directors, and it's one of the most happiest fun sets to be on, because Gary's perspective for like filming, like he likes the environment. The main thing for him is everything is about family. So like a family dynamic that he brings on the set and then on the screen.
Yeah, and of course there's an element where you can quote unquote fake it, right? Mm-hmm. But it's just so much better when you can portray like there's so much spirit in what's being portrayed on screen in terms of the family dynamics, and you really kind of do get invested into these characters, as cheesy as it may at times be, but you really feel it. And again, it could technically be achieved without having that off screen, but isn't it just so much better if you can have that off screen as well?
Yeah, and I think that definitely translates to just the acting and the story itself. If it's happening off camera, it should happen on.
Indeed. So for the most part, anyone else from the behind the scenes stuff, kind of not necessarily, they've been with Gary Marshall for a very long time. So like a lot of them share the same credits. Charles Minsky, who's the cinematographer, has also done Pretty Woman, Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. So again, they've kind of
Yeah, and the editing team, the same people. There was the editor and the assistant editor for, you know, Valentine's Day, Raising Helen, Runaway Bride. So like all these Gary Marshall projects. So
Yeah. So it's good to, you know, once you build a team, why
yeah.
do
And
anything?
Gary's done so many films. I mean, the man is 81 and he's still kicking, and he's still making fun movies like this.
Yeah.
So good for him.
And
And the fact that like all these people keep coming back for his film. I mean, even Britt Robertson said in interviews, like, granted she's young, and because she worked with him when she was 12, and then when she got approached with this film, and she said the one main reason why she wanted to be in this film was because of Gary Marshall. So he already just brings this presence that so many people already love and want to just keep working with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so let's talk about numbers. Overall, as of now, about almost $11 million out of a $25 million production budget. So not terrible, you know, I think it'll make its money back. Came number 4 overall at the box office. Mm-hmm. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't necessarily like it, but audiences differ. Yeah, it's got a B+ on CinemaScore, so a vast difference between an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes versus a B+. Like
an 8% is super ridiculously low. This movie was not that bad, trust me. It was a very fun story. I mean, what were you expecting? Like action? This is not that kind of movie.
I think the biggest thing is that I hate about, like, you got to know, did the movie accomplish what it told you what it was going to accomplish? Mm-hmm. Well, it did. Okay. And so I think CinemaScore is actually much more reflective, because I think CinemaScore is a reflection of the marketing and in combination of what the audience reacts to that marketing as. And so with a B+, it seems to be on par, right? You got what you were going in for. Mm-hmm. Slight differences and whatnot, but a B+, certainly respectable. And yeah, I'm not saying this is the world's greatest movie, but I'm saying if the people that like Gary Marshall, the people that like romantic comedies, that like ensembles, this is a perfectly
one of those
well-made
films. Movie. Yeah, I mean it has the same kind of emotional beats as Valentine's Day, as New Year's Day, as a lot of Gary Marshall films. It's very lighthearted, very straightforward, fun, entertaining kind of film.
Yeah. Exactly. So it is what it is.
And it had a lot of good witty jokes that were dropped in between. I mean, like there was that one line, I don't know why I laughed so hard, but a pox on your whistle. And then, you know, they explained it later on. I was like, yeah, of course that's Shakespeare. How did people not get that? But
William Shakespeare?
Yeah, it was William Shakespeare. A plague on both of your houses from Romeo and Juliet. But, like, there were witty references as dropped as jokes throughout. And if you didn't get it, I guess you didn't get it. But I laughed a lot.
Well, that's certainly good. This is kind of a fun question, but what other event-based thing would you like to see? We've had New Year's, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Father's Day?
Maybe Father's Day. Or, like, I'd like to see a 4th of July film, because that's in the summer. That's an event that literally gets people outside and interact with so many other different people. You get to see, like, basically the rest of the world on 4th of July. So I think that'd be a fun summer film that people could go enjoy.
Okay, there you go. So there's plenty of holidays to play with. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. That's about it for today as we dissected Mother's Day. But we're heading into Mother's Day, so hopefully you guys are good to your mothers. If you're listening to this at a later portion, be good to your mothers every day.
Yeah.
If you are
Did
a
you
mother,
do anything for your mother?
It's not Mother's Day yet.
Yeah, I get that. But, I mean, I already sent my mom flowers. She already received them. Happy Mother's Day,
That's a little
Mom.
preemptive.
Well, this is me. I'm very early in life, so...
Copy that. All right. Where can the people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV.
and follow the Popcorn Talk Movie Anatomy. And by the way, we've got tons of other anatomies that we've done in the past, so check those out if you've seen the movie. And also, we've got plenty of more coming up. Next week, we've got Civil War. We've got X-Men, Neighbors 2 down the pipeline. Just Secret Life of Pets. I'm trying to kind of give you guys the wide range of movies that we'd be doing. So plenty to look forward to. Once you see the movie, check back in with us, see if we've covered it. Most oftentimes we will. And if you've seen other movies, whether like even Daddy's Home, right? That was referenced when we interviewed Owen. Check out our dissection for that one.
And we'll probably do the second one too.
Darn right we will. That was me and James Lott Jr.
That was, wasn't it?
So thank you guys for joining us. And check out other shows here on Popcorn Talk. Plenty of them. As the intro said, we talk movies. Darn right we talk movies. We'll see you next time on another Anatomy of a Movie.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the rest of the Anatomy of a Movie staff, we would like to thank you for listening and subscribing to the show. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email or tweet us. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been Anatomy of a Movie.